So, good morning, dear friends. I guess it's time to start. People are still joining in, and they can definitely do so. But we will start with today's program. You are very welcome to this Central Baltic seminar regarding our new electronic monitoring system, Jems, which will be used for applying for funding, for reporting and monitoring projects, and of course for us for assessments as well. So in a similar way to the previous EMS, with which many of you might already be familiar with. But we will start this presentations, and this whole seminar will be recorded, and the recording will be available for you later. I think we have set an internal deadline for the 24th, so at latest on that date you will be able to get back to these issues that will be handled today in this seminar. Here with me today we have our Central Baltic colleagues. Presentations today will be done by myself and my colleague Lari Alamets, and we also have other colleagues here which will be able to help and answer questions if necessary. And as you may have noticed, this seminar has been divided on 2 days. So we will be discussing certain issues today and then additional issues on Thursday afternoon. So these are not same events. So the same things are not going to be handled on Thursday, but that is another part of this same seminar. So remember to join us then as well. But let's get started. I will start sharing my screen here, going through a bit of the presentation first, and then moving on to the actual Jems. So just a reminder of our program area, where we are functional, and the regions that are inside our program. Today we will be working with Jems, and our goals of today you can see here. So we would like the applicants to know how to register into Jems first of all, and to understand the logic of the system, and that you will be able to fill in the application form in Jems correctly after the information you have received from us today. And also to have a full picture of what to consider when applying for funding from the Central Baltic Programme. We have some information from your side from the registration, so we can see here, for example, that most of the participants today are planning to submit an application for the first call, which is now ongoing and will be continuing until the end of March. And it's of course very much okay to listen if you don't have any plans for the first call yet, just to get the information. And many people also exactly are not yet sure whether they will apply for this call or not. But we will see, and we are very excited to see how many applications we will get in the end. And on the right side, you can see a bit of an indication of the interest towards the regular, so-called the bigger projects and small projects. So out of the people who have anticipated that they will apply in the first call, the division between small and regular are as seen in the picture. So mostly the interest is towards the regular projects, which of course from our side is also expected, but we are also happy to see that there are those that are interested in applying for a small project as well. Some basic things about Zoom, with which we are working today. I think many of you are already familiar. It would be nice if you would keep your camera open. so that we can or others can see your faces as well in this time of online meetings. And please remember to keep your microphone muted whenever you are not speaking. And if you want to present questions, we have a possibility for that after each presentation. You can see on the right side of the screen now how to raise hand and how to lower a hand. So you should have this reactions button on the lower part of your screen in Zoom, and from there you can find this raise hand option. And my colleague Ylari will be monitoring the hands as well as the chat, so you can also use the chat in case you don't want to speak or for some reason you cannot speak. Then you can also write your questions to the chat, and we will go through those as well when we are done with the first part of the presentation. We have an indicative agenda for today. We have reserved quite a lot of time for the event, and this, of course, the duration actually depends on your questions and your activity. We don't have very long presentations, so mostly the time is reserved for your questions and your feedback on the system and anything you might want to ask. So as you can see here, we have planned for a break, but we will see then how many questions we will get for the first part, and if we are already well ahead of this time plan and there are not so much questions, then we might just move on directly to the second part of the presentation and finish a bit early, possibly then. So this is the time frame, so we will finish at least at the latest, let's say 1:30, but likely already well before that. But we will let you and your questions decide. Something practical about Jems. This is a Europe-wide system which is used by many other programs than just Central Baltic. And it is exactly like I said, used for the whole life cycle of the project. So everything that the project does towards us will be practically in Jems, including reporting and other type of activities. Jems is a browser-based tool, and you can see here in the table the different browsers that are supported. It might well be that it's functional with other browsers as well, but these are the ones that are supported. So Chrome, Firefox, and Edge are the ones, and you can see the versions on the right side of the table for each of these. So check that your browser is up to date for the optimal user experience regarding Jems. And you will gain access to Jems by registering. The address is here, jems.centralbaltic.eu. I will get back to that also a bit later here, but that is what you will be using. And all users, all applicants, everyone who needs to do something in Jems will need to register separately. So it is not encouraged and not allowed to share your user names, your passwords with others, but you should always work in Jems as yourself, and of course the username will be responsible for anything that is then done in the system. So please remember that. Do not share your passwords. And regarding other project partners, there is always a lead applicant in an application, and this lead applicant then has the possibility in the system to give user access for the specific application form for other applicants or other partners in that same project, depending on what kind of things the other partners need to do in the system. And I will show that also a bit closer later. Then I would like to go through some general things that you will be looking at and which we would like you to pay attention and remember when you are doing the application going into the system. And most of these I will also go through in practice, but let's go them just through here first. So whenever there is a call open in the Central Baltic Programme, we are talking about one call, but mostly there will be two calls open whenever you are able to apply for a small or a regular project. Then those will in practice be separate calls. So you will see a call for regular projects and a call for small projects. This depends, of course, on the availability of different types of projects and different types of program objectives as well. For the first call, everything is open, but it might be that there are limits in the future calls. That will, of course, depend on the situation and on our funding decisions and our portfolio contents separately for each call. And what we would also like you to be is to be precise when filling in, especially the text fields, and avoid repeating the same information in different places. Really focus on the question and focus on the guidance, what we are telling you to answer, what we are expecting from you. So, and if especially if there are fields where you can fill in actually a lot of characters, it's not necessary, you don't gain any extra point by using all the characters, but we would rather like you to be precise and present the information in as short and concise form as possible. And in principle, all fields in the application form should be filled in. Now in the Jems system, you will always only have those fields visible that you will need to fill in. So this is a slight difference for the EMS system that we had previously. So basically everything you see should be filled in. And if you have some fields which you think or you know that are not applicable to your organization or you will not fill in, then just write not applicable or similar things to the fields, because if you leave them completely empty, then even if it's not relevant to have an answer there, it might be that the automatic checks of the system will catch that and there will be an error message if it's completely empty. Jems is also very good in reminding on saving the information. Still, that's always something that you should remember. And so if you make modification, be sure to save the information so that you don't move to another or the next section without saving. The system should give you an indication if you are trying to move to another page and you have not saved. There should be an announcement every time that please save the information, or then confirm that you don't want to save the information but to move on. And also the system will kick you out in 1 hour if you're not active in the system. If you don't do anything there for an hour, then you will be kicked out automatically and you will have to sign in again. So this is always also good to remember regarding saving the information and these kind of things. And yes, we already see that there are many applications started in Jems, which is good. We would like to encourage you to start early in due time, not to leave it for the last days, and also to submit your application early. We have previous experience on projects where the submitting especially has been left to very late stages, and then when you possibly get an error message that you have still some field to fill in and you have only a few minutes time to submit left, then it might be even the case in the worst case scenario that you are not able to fill in the application and you are not able to submit, and then clock runs out, and then you will be just sitting and waiting for the next call with your application form, because that's it's not possible to submit the application in any other way than electronically in Jems. No paper documents are required anymore from the projects, so scanned originals should be attached to Jems into your application. We are also accepting electronic signatures, so this is one thing that is easier than in the previous program. No papers need to be, or no papers should even be sent to the Joint Secretariat, but everything should be included in the application in Jems. And of course, we do not encourage to use the application form as a planning tool for the project, but rather plan elsewhere and then use it as an application form, copy pasting the information to the form and submitting. So it's not planned to be a project planning tool as such. Then there will be support available for you when you are applying during the process. Basically 2 places regarding technical questions. If Jems is not functioning the way you would like it to function, or you see something that is not technically working, then we have the technical support email, jems@centralbaltic.eu. So those questions should be written to that address. And then if you have content related questions to the JS when filling in, then those questions should be guided to the project managers. I will have the email addresses here a bit later. But if you are thinking or needing an interpretation on, for example, what information is needed under this question, then that would be a case to contact the project managers and ask that kind of questions from them. What we are not doing, however, we are not pre-assessing any applications, so we do not expect to have such messages that, okay, I have now filled in my application form in Jems, can you please go in and check, is it okay, is everything okay? So this kind of pre-assessment type of activities we are not doing. So we are not checking the applications for you, but we will help with individual cases in filling in the application form. And it should be noted that we will very likely be very busy towards the end of the call, so towards the end of March, and then we will likely not be able to provide very quick answers, or at least this capability would be limited. So this also comes back to the point of starting early and finishing also early, so that you can really clarify any surprising things that might be faced when filling in. And I think I can say that we have very good guidance materials available. So on our website you will find the program manual, which is the Bible of the applicant, I would say. And then you will also have the guide for applying for a project, which is the key document for the practical filling in of the application form. So be sure to always check those and try to find answers there. And the project managers would be then your last resort if you don't find the answer or the interpretation of your question from the guidance. So here you have the contact information for the project managers, for 4 of us, and on the left side you will see the program objectives with which we are specifically working and responsible for. So you will get the answer quickest when you check also this information. It's available on our website as well, and you can then immediately send the question to the right person. Good, thank you for the first part. I will switch now to the Jems system. Now I'll see if I can demonstrate actually the system kicking myself out. So I have not done anything for a long time. But yes, and don't wonder if you are seeing, when you are seeing a different address in here. We have a test version for Jems, which we are using for demonstrations now. So you will not be able to access that system. So you don't need to really pay attention to the different address here. But yes, now we are in the system, and this is the page where you will land when you go to jems.centralbaltic.eu. And here you will have the login opportunity where your email and password are asked. If you have not registered yet, then you would be clicking on this create new account. This will lead you to the creation page where you will have to provide your name, first name, last name, and your email address. And your email address will function as your username in the Jems system. And then you will define a password for yourself. And you also have to click that you have read and agreed to the terms of service, privacy policy, and cookies, etc. And you can read them via this link here. And after you have filled everything in, the register button here will be active and you will be able to register. And you will see our program logo here. Please check that you are on the registration page of the right program, because there is also a Central Europe program which is using Jems. So be sure that you are registering to the Central Baltic Programme if that is what you wish to do. So we have some experiences that from the last period that someone has managed to register to the other program, and then of course calls will be different and so on, and you will not reach the right people with your application form. Good, but once you have registered, you will receive an email to this address that you have defined here. So make sure you write it correctly. And in that email, you will have a confirmation link, which will then confirm your registration to Jems. And after that, you will be able to go again to this login page and insert your email and password, and then you will be able to access the system itself. And in the system, you will enter into this so-called dashboard view. On the upper side here, you can see the logout button. You can see your username. You will be applicant users for the Jems system. As language, we are using only English, so that cannot be changed. And behind the question mark, you will have the technical support email address at hand, and you can also read these privacy policies and accessibility statements if you wish to do so at any later stage. And then you will also see the version of Jems that is currently installed. There will be new versions, there will be bug fixes and these kind of things which will affect this number. And regarding those, then it might be that Jems at some point might not be accessible because of this maintenance activity. So that can be accepted, but or expected, but those will be notified then also beforehand. But what is important here is that you can see at the bottom of the page the call list. And here you can see the small projects call as well as the regular projects call. And this will be what you need to choose. So if you are aiming for a small project, then you need to apply for a small one. And for the regular one, click the right row as well. And you will not be able to change this during the process because the application forms are different. So then you have to start all over again if you first click the wrong and start filling in the wrong application form. So I will now click to the small project form, and the first thing you will be asked to do is to give an acronym of your project. So you can write a short acronym here. If I remember correctly, it allows 25 characters, so it really needs to be a short acronym, and you can insert the longer project name then later. I will now not start a new project because I have already one test project in place, but I will just demonstrate this. So the acronym is here, and you can actually, like the hint here says, you can change the acronym and all other project data before the submission of your project. So everything is workable. You can work with everything. So whatever you put here can be changed. But once you would write something here, it would activate the Create Project Application button, and you would click that, and then you would be directed to the next page after that. I will now click Cancel because I already have a test project in place. But then after you create the application, it will be visible for you here. So whenever you sign in, you will have your applications here and the calls below. And then you will just go into your application and start filling in the application form. And first you will land on this project overview page, which you can see here. And here you have the basic information on the project, specific objectives, which you will define a bit later. I already have them here. You can see that you are applying for a small project, and you can see the ending date of the call here as well, so you can follow. And you will get a number for your project. This will be automatically created by the system. And then you will have on the left side the menu through which you will navigate your application form, different sections. I will go into the project identification soon. But some points that you have here below, I mentioned already that the lead applicant can give rights to other applicants. So in this case, you would go and click on this project privileges at the lower left part of the screen. And here you can see that I am the manager of this project now. But if I wish to do so by clicking this plus sign, I can add users to the application. And here you should put the username of the applicant you want to include. And this needs to be an active user. So the user needs to be registered and confirmed before you can give any rights to them. And then you can here choose whether you want to give only viewing rights or if you want to give editing rights to the other applicant. And editing rights, of course, if you have partners who you want to make their own budget, for example, and things like that, then you would need to give them editing rights. And if you have your boss in the organization who just wants to go and see what the application looks like, you can give viewing rights in that case. And here the picture of a trash bin means that you can delete the applicant users as well. So this is where you can add your partners to the picture. Then you have on the left side also the export function. This, I must say, is not fully functional yet, so you won't be able to export your application just yet, but we are working on making this functional as well. So here you have in principle two possibilities. You can export the application form, or you can export partner's budget. So you don't have to get budgets out, you don't have to export the whole application form. And what this will do is when it's functional and you click the export button, then you will be able to save the download to your computer. And here it shows the current application version. This will also change. The possible places for changes is, for example, when you submit the regular application, you will first make the first step application and submit that. And then you will submit the second step application if you reach that point, and that will be a different version. And of course, during project implementation, if you make a modification to the project, that will also change the project version then. And languages, we only use English, as I mentioned, so that is only thing that is visible here. And then if to go to the very first part of the application form, namely the part A, where you have the project identification, there are these red asterisks which indicate that you have to provide certain information before you are able to save the page. And here, for example, the asterisks are found under program priority and program objectives. So you need to fill in those before you can actually save the page. But first you will have the automatic number of the project, and then you will be providing the lead partner organization name. That will happen later, but it will be automatically transferred here. Then you have your project acronym, which you have filled in later, and here now you can change it if you wish. And it's exactly 25 characters, and then you can create also a project title, which is usually a bit longer in this case. And for that you have also some more characters. And also regarding the project acronym, remember that it has to be understandable, it has to be readable. You have good guidance in the guide for applying for a project on what the acronym should be like. So just avoid these long combinations of letters and numbers and things that are not pronounceable, because the acronym will be what your project will then have the visibility with. Then you will be inserting project duration. We are not asking a start date or an end date for the project, but just the project duration. And for a small project in which I am now, the maximum duration is 18 months. So it's, even though it's possible to add more, you should not add more for the small projects than 18 months. Otherwise, you will not be eligible. The periods, we have 6-month periods, reporting periods. This will be automatically created, and also the number of periods will appear automatically. And of course, depending on the total duration, the last period might be shorter than 6 months, of course. Then you will move on to choosing your project priority and program objective. So we have 4 options under priority: business development, environment, employment opportunities, public services. So you choose the relevant one from here. And according to this, then you will have further options as program objectives. So for example, if I would choose business development, then I would have different options here, and I would need to choose one of these. And then at the end of this page, you would create your project summary. This is, in fact, something that we encourage to be done at the late stage of the application. So just to confirm coherence, you would be better off doing this at the later stage of filling in the application form rather than just right away. And at least the coherence needs to be checked at the end. And please note that in the summary, we also want you to indicate the total budget of the project and the budget per partner. These are indicative sums, of course, but something that we are expecting you to tell us, and we don't expect the budgets to change a lot. For example, when you are moving from first step application to second step with the regular projects, there is some flexibility, but you should actually already at this point know quite well what you are planning as your project and partner budget. So this is important to remember. And yeah, I think there is also good guidance in the guide for how to fill this in and what to consider when providing a project summary. So this is something that will be used in also probably in program communication later. So make sure it's a good one. Then I think I can conclude my part of this presentation, and I would then forward a first question to my colleague Ylari, whether there are any questions to be answered in the chat. How is it?
Thank you. Chat has been busy, but I assume that most of the questions raised or written into chat have been answered. We have had questions related to digital signing, the differences between the fields of the small projects and regular projects, the issue related to whether there are needs for rights from the own organization to register to Jems, about the time table for export functionality. So those issues were raised, but I see also all answers in place. So if something is missing, show actively, please, from the audience. But insofar, everything has been covered.
Thank you. I will maybe make one addition, which I didn't mention, which came to my mind from one of the questions that Ylari said. And exactly when you are looking at this left side menu in your application form, you will see that, or if you are having, let's say, having a look at both regular and small projects, you will see that there are different things in place. And that's, of course, due to the fact that the small projects are filling in the whole application right now before the end of or by the end of March. So you will have everything there that will be asked from the small projects, and for the regular projects, the list will be sufficient shorter on the left side menu. So you don't see, for example, when you go deeper, you don't see a partner budget there because that's only to be filled in the second step. And for the regular projects, you will not see a full work plan either due to the same reason. So that's why these different calls look always a bit different. So that may be as a complementation to the answers. But if there are no more questions, and I don't see at least any hands raised among the audience, but keep the questions coming to the chat. We will switch positions. I will give the word to my colleague Ylari, who will talk a bit more about the other things about the project. So thank you from my side.
So I hope you can see the slide. Hello to everyone. My part will consist of covering two main topics. I will go through and show what information will be necessary to partnership section and to the project description. And I will cover both regular projects and small projects examples with that. And first I will do it in a way that I will just go through on slides the names of fields or content, and thereafter I will switch to Jems and I will show you the concerned fields and how it works, also with making some changes and adjustments in the test projects which are already in place. And I also want to emphasize that this is not the presentation or overview what to write into the fields. This is more technically going through and showing how the Jems system works. So for advice and feedback in regard to the content and the descriptions and the nature of partnerships, please contact us directly. And for a full picture, of course, to get the full understanding of all information needed for regular and small projects, you have to also attend the parts of a seminar taking place on Thursday when colleagues will cover issues related to budget and also attachments. So, but first, there is going to be the partnership part B. This is the rather straightforward. It relates to partner identity, what organization is indeed going to be the partner, and it relates to the basic contact information of a partner organization, and also the legal representative and the contact person. Then perhaps the partnership section, part B, field to elaborate a little bit more and provide more information is related to the section motivation, partner motivation and contribution. Here the recommendation is very much the same what colleague Samu already told, that be really specific, and we say that be program objective specific. And this is really actually a comment I want to make in regard of all textual fields, which are also coming up later on. So try to avoid the repetitions, try to avoid the global statements, be really in the context or in the area of the program objective you have identified and chosen in the beginning. And then the project description for regular projects, step 1 has a fields described on this slide. They are related to project relevance, context, challenge, joint challenge, then project approach, and the cross-border value added. In addition, what I already said, be program objective specific. There are the questions in each field. Read those questions, answer to those questions, don't expand it too much, and don't copy paste the same information to the several different fields. Then the project description continues. The field about the target who will benefit from your project. There is a question in regard of a contribution to a wider strategies and also to the synergies with the current and other ongoing projects and activities. And then, yes, there are summary tables, summary fields of project partnership, project results, project management, and horizontal principles as well in the project description. And that will lead us to the final part of project description, which is about the long-term plans, ownership of certain things which have been created with projects, durability and sustainability, and transferability. So this is very much the scope and content of the fields, which is in place for a regular project first step. And I will show in regard of small projects, which are differences or additional fields you have to fill in as well. In regard of project description, there is going to be work plan in more detailed way, work package. Work packages can be created, and there are objectives, activities, and outputs for all work plan, work packages. And then also the system will generate the project time plan. There is a section project management and how will you coordinate your project work. So basically that's it. And now I will go to Jems system, and I will go through the fields first for a regular project first step, and thereafter for the small projects in regard of work plan. So now I try to oops. So can you see the screen? Yes. So first, let's visit the regular projects. I have created project already for a step 1 regular project, but first I have to log in, and I have created the project identification first. I have created and filled in the first section what the colleague already showed, and I have created the 4 partners. And to show how the partner information works, so you have to start with the partner identity section. You have to make the partner organization abbreviated. version, then you can describe or have a name of organization in a native language. Then you have to use the English language. If relevant, you can also enter information about the department or unit division. You have to determine from drop-down menu the best suitable category for your organization type, partner type. You have to choose whether public or private as a legal status, and you have to enter if your organization has VAT number or other identifier number, and you have to also choose whether your organization is entitled to recover VAT based on national legislation. So I have chosen no, but still I have entered one number. So basically, for all 4 partners, this is a first section. Then you have to go to address. You have to go through the sections of identifying country. The list is rather long. All countries of the world are here, but you have to find a relevant country. Then you have to identify the NUTS2 region. In the case here, I have chosen Finland. I have chosen the region Helsinki-Uusimaa, and on NUTS3 level, then you have an option, a predetermined option, which is only one. And yes, you have to insert information in regard of the street, house number, postal code, city, home page, and if you are having the department, unit, division, then you are also inserting information in regard of that. And then the section contact from above menu, you have to insert the information about legal representative, title, first name, last name, and second contact information is in regard to contact person. So contact person, potential project manager, with the title, first name, last name, email address, and telephone. And the section motivation, here are the text fields, 3 text fields, partner motivation and contribution. First you have to describe the organization's thematic competence and experience in the program objective field or in a field of a project you're undertaking. Then the role of your organization in the project. And the third, the organization's experience in participating in EU financed or international projects. So those are the fields in regard of the partners. And perhaps let's try to just to show that we can add one more partner, for example, going it through. We have already lead partner. That's why we are creating now partner. Abbreviated name. Maybe we can try to add partner from Åland. I will struggle with local name, of course. similarly to previous partners, perhaps this is the sheep farming organization interest group, legal status, I assume private. Let's assume that there is going to be the EIT number, but the organization perhaps is not entitled to recovering VAT. So I choose a no here and I create the partner. So basically the partner is created, then address. We have separate country because all on the islands are in a status of member states in our program. So it's easy to choose the next choices. We have to create the address. Maybe Nykatan would be good. I have put all the partners to house number 10. There is certainly some kind of postal code. And yes, it should certainly have the web page. So, and there is a saving function. You see, always if there is a new information inserted, save changes. So you have to press on that. Just writing into the field doesn't save the information. So save changes. So now we have created it. So, and we have to create also legal representative. Oops, just title first, then first name. Let's create some version. And save changes. And this is rather straightforward. Also motivation fields. If you add information, just save changes. You added information, save changes. Not going into the content here. So this is a partner section. And what is next? And yes, we can see the partner overview just here. Going back to the partners overview, and seeing now all 5 partners. And next, project description. Here we are having the fields. First, the project overall objective is actually coming from the choice you have made in the project identification, where you did choose the program priority and program objective. So this is coming from there. Then the project relevance and context. Those are the really relevant fields to use field wisely. The things I already said in the slides, do not repeat, read carefully the question and support information. It is relevant here. And it starts with the common territorial challenge, then C22 is about the how. This is the project approach. Then the cross-border value added, C23, why the cross-border cooperation is needed. And then the C24, who will benefit, or the target group description. And here you have the drop-down menu. So you can basically choose the target group. And here the choice was the SMEs, sheep farming companies. If there are the wider strategies, predetermined choices, EU-SPSR, European Union Strategy for Baltic Sea region. I have made choice, I have chosen the other, and then you can actually write the name of other wider strategy here. So we can, for example, now also add the EU-SPSR and contribution. Saves changes. And then if there are the relevant synergies with the past or other ongoing projects, initiatives, that's the place to have here. Here again, the key is to be concise. Don't go too far back in the past to general, only bring in those projects and initiatives which are really close to your new project idea. Let's move on. Then the next section is the overview of a project partnership. This is a field where the full partnership structure and roles and the main tasks can be summarized and described. So basically the roles of and main tasks, partners' key competencies, partners' interest and authority to act on field of project. And also perhaps to describe this landscape, so to say, or a field of your operations in a little bit broader sense, who are other players, why you are well positioned to act in that. Then moving on, perhaps most important, where we start very often looking at your project application and the project as such, is actually contribution to the program results, though the section C5 project results. So you have to describe, basically from drop-down menu. You have already predefined choice, as you have chosen the program objectives earlier. Then in almost all cases, with exception of some program objectives, only you are having one result indicator, so you are having that, and you have to determine numeric value. In this specific case, it is the program objective 1, companies with achieved sales. So the project, fake project, test project, thinks that they can achieve 16 sales on targeted the New Zealand market, selling their sheep. So time plan, it is not placed in a regular project first step. It will be generated later on in a second step, and will be generated for small projects if the budget information and activity plan information is filled in. In a section project management, here the C76 is horizontal principles. You have to identify the impact to 3 horizontal principles: sustainable development, equal opportunities, and non-discrimination, equality between men and women. In this particular test project, I have chosen that all are neutral. If you are having positive effects, and then the description of the contribution is on the right hand field. And yes, we expect that there are not projects undertaken which are going to have a negative effect, actually. And last but not least, long-term plans. Here are the fields related, 4 fields related to fields ownership. If there is the some creation or some output or some outcome of a project which needs to be owned by some organization, this is a field to describe how it will be arranged. Durability and sustainability, durability of certain activities and sustainability of results is a second field, and the transferability, whether the achievements of the projects can be used in other places as well. So this is the regular projects. All fields you have to fill in for partners overview and the project description. Now going back to the dashboard, I have also created one test project on small project, and here we can have a look on activities. Previous fields are same. There is going to be more information, of course, because of later on, if filling in the budget information and activity plan, there are going to be project overview tables, but information in regard of the partners overview is very much the same, with exception that you will have additional sections on the above menu, which will be used by my colleagues later on Thursday, fields related to budget and co-financing. But in a project description, fields related to project overall objectives, relevance, partnership summary are very much the same, also project results. Project time plan comes from filling in the budget and the work plan, but a specific part is a project work plan. I have created in this project one work package, as it is one small project, and here you can see following sections. I have named the work package creating joint solutions. There are fields related to objectives. You have to write it here, and there is also the field for communication objective to be filled in. And the way to create the work plan or project description in more detail is in the above section activities. I have created 3 activities so far. Each activity, starting with activity 1.1, named analysis of existing services. So this is the field which can be filled in. You have to determine the start of the activity. In a small project, as already said, there are 18 months, or it can be 3 periods. So I have allocated this first activity to the first period. So period 1 starts and period 1 also ends. There is a field for description, and there are next fields related to deliverables. What are going to be the achievements or outcomes of that activity? And this is very much the basic structure. You create as many activities as needed. Let's create one more. For example, if we create activity, which is certainly needed also in small projects. Management. It would be certainly needed throughout the whole project. So in that sense, we make it start the period 1 and period 3 to end. We add description here. Also remember to save changes always. And we can add deliverables like report perhaps. Perhaps we need to add, yes, like this. Rather straightforward. So this is a way to create additional activities and deliverables for those activities. And yes, outputs as well. You have to from above menu, there is the outputs, and you can write into the output title the name, joint solution in this case, and there is a program output which is predetermined. You are choosing that from the menu, and there is a target value you have to fill in. I have filled it this 1, can be 2 as well, for example, and delivery period at the end of the project period 3. So, and I have described the output and output 2, also participating organizations in this case from the drop-down menu, as there were 2 options, 2 output indicators available. And then again, the measurement unit, the target value, and the period. So the way to change it is here. So, and save changes. So this is very much it about the project partners overview and project description. In example of the regular projects and small projects. So thank you for your attention, and I assume there may be some unanswered questions.
Yes, thank you, Ylari, for this presentation. And there are indeed questions, and there was one good feedback also from the audience about reading the questions out loud as well as the answers, and this of course makes sense. As participants we can read them directly from the chat, but as this is recorded, then those who are watching the recording cannot actually read the chat as such. So and now that we have good time, I would maybe even go through the questions from the very beginning and the answers as well, so that everything from that side will be recorded as well. So starting from the very first question, are we allowed to sign application forms including attachments by digital signature of Latvia? And the answer to this would be yes. Digital signatures are accepted in general, so as we don't need any paper documents, the documents can be digitally signed, and of course we also accept the scanned original signed documents as attachments. So that would be a yes to that question. The next one is there the application form available as a Word document? That would help a lot to develop the application and then just copy to Jems, especially because it's not possible to work on Jems for all project team together. This is correct, actually. More than one people, at least so far, cannot work with the same application form simultaneously. So that is true. And a Word form is not available. It would be challenging, first of all, because there are, for example, these drop-down menus and stuff like that, which would be quite difficult to show in a template. But we do have the guide for applying for a project where you have basically the structure of the application form. So you have all the questions and the guidance, so you can see the structure from the guide. And then I would encourage you to use other tools. Maybe a Word document is the simplest, but there might be other tools for project planning as well. So just take the questions and write answers to another document, which you can then share with your partners and work together, for example, in a SharePoint environment or some Google Documents type of solution, so that everyone can contribute at the same time. Then there's a question, does this working activity in Jems mean saving your work, or just writing text into a box seems not enough? Yes, this is correct. Just writing the text does not trigger any saving activity. So you need to click save separately to save whatever you have written in or changed. That is how it works. But as you saw, just the system gives you a reminder if you are about to move from the page to another and you have not saved your changes. So that's quite good in that sense. Yep. And exactly the guide for applying for a project includes or all the Jems questions and guidance on what to answer. So that's available on the website. The next question, does my organization need to approve my new Jems account before a coordinator can invite or join me to their proposal? The only approval that is needed for getting in is the confirmation email, which you have to click on, that will confirm you as a user. And then when you go in as a user and start the project, you will be the lead applicant and you can give rights to other people. And if you are the other applicant or partner and you need rights, then you will need to contact the person who has started the application form and who is the so-called lead applicant. So that person will be able to give rights. So no organization level approvals are needed from our side for that. Yes, and then there's a question of the D section not being visible. And this is actually true, and someone has already provided a nice answer that in the regular projects, this D section is not showing in the first step because the budget will not be filled in the first step, and this part D is actually consisting only of overview tables which come directly from the budget, from the partner budget. So actually you don't fill in anything yourself into this part D anyway. So it will be a second step issue for the regular projects. And then there's a question about the export function functionality, and this is, we are working on that, and it's a known issue, but we cannot give you a date yet on when we will be able to get it to function, but we will let you know as soon as we can have a solution on this. Yes, and then there's a good question regarding a password. When we first registered into Jems, the system gave us an automatic password, and this can happen. I think it's rather than the browser that proposes an automatic password and not Jems itself. But it can happen, and you can click on that and have an automatic password. But what then if you want to change it, how to do that? And the solution is to go to the upper part of Jems where you have your username, and that should be clicked on, and from there you can choose the option of setting a new password for yourself. So this is the solution there. And regarding passwords, actually there is, at least not currently, any automatic I forgot my password function in Jems. So if indeed you forget your password and need a new one, then you should write an email to the technical support email address jems@centralbaltic.eu. That is currently the only way to get your password resetted and to get your new password instead of the forgotten one. And then there is a question of registrations. Shall each partner be registered in the system? Or is it enough that the lead partner collects all necessary information and fills out the forms? The answer to this would be that technically it is enough to just have one user, because that's all that is needed to fill in and submit the application form. But as mentioned before, the lead applicant can also give rights to other partners. But in order to have rights to an application form, any partner needs to be registered and confirmed to the Jems as a user. And I would imagine that each partner would still like to see the application form at one point. So for that, of course, these viewing rights can be given. But of course, it's possible that the partners provide the information separately, and there is only one lead applicant then who will do the filling in totally. So that is fully possible, and several users are not needed from our side at least. Then another question, do you expect to see references to literature in the proposal? If yes, is there a space for it? The answer for this would be that the references to any literature, such as, for example, scientific articles elaborating on the topic in more details, are not expected. We would practically not even have the time during the assessment to go into these external information sources and check things. So everything relevant should be written in the application form for the assessment. And then if we have some information deficiency from our side, we would be in touch and ask definitely. Of course, if there are some very central documents, like some strategic documents, those can and probably will be mentioned in the application form. But then if it's necessary from our sides to get more acquainted with those, we would then look after them and go into those. But it's not very likely, as we expect, that all the necessary information for the assessments is already in the application form as such and written into the answers and questions. Then there's the next question. Is it similar for statistics that is used for supporting an argument in the application form? Shall it be used without reference to a source? I think similarly here, we probably would not have the opportunity to go very deep into references. So we might check. So if you would like to mention the source as such as, let's say, maybe the statistical survey of Estonia or something like that, then it's totally okay. And as I said, if we definitely need this information, then we would ask the applicant to send it separately. But as a default, no. Going on to the next question, and I see that there are also new ones, so just keep them coming. Under C7 project management, are applicants expected to fill in something more than the fields under C7.6 horizontal principles? Meaning that the text under C7 says, please describe below how you plan to organize yourself to ensure that the project work runs smoothly. Here I would say and advise to check the guide for applying for a project. I think this is also explained there, but exactly this horizontal principles are actually the only thing that are visible in this section for certain projects. So there might be, the heading might be including more text. We would have to check on that, but what you are expected to fill in is always visible. So there might be that there are things belonging to first step or second step. And also for the small projects, there will be less things to fill in. So refer to the guidance, it should be clear from there. And if something is not clear, then ask directly from us. But as I said, only certain things need to be filled in, for example, in the first step application or a small project application for. Next question, should management be included in all work packages in a regular project, or is it just one and not as a separate work package? Yes, the last sentence here is correct. The project management actually is not included into the work packages at all. So you should not elaborate on the management activities in the work packages. There is a specific section C7 where you have several questions, at least for the regular projects. In the second step, maybe less questions for the small projects, but this section C7 is exactly about project management, and this is the only place where you need to elaborate on the management of your project. So no management work packages or work packages should not include any management activities even. It's not in the work packages at all. Then some more questions. Organization is entitled to recover VAT. Yes, no. Why needed when VAT is eligible cost for all partners according to manual? This is very correct, and this is actually, I think, technically connected to the VAT number or registration number of the organization. So the number is actually what we need. We would like to have your VAT number or registration number as an organization. It's correct that VAT is eligible cost for all partners. So this yes, no partly is only connected to the registration number and technically has to be filled in, but VAT is always eligible, as it is said in the guidance and the program manual. Next question, are NGOs, SMEs more welcome as main applicants as research institutions? So our preferences on organizations. Firstly, SMEs cannot function as lead partners or lead applicants at all in our project, so they are ruled out in that sense. And regarding NGOs or research institutions, I think that then comes down to the project topic and the relevance these organizations have for the project and for achieving the project results. So NGOs and research institutions are allowed definitely as partners and as lead partners, but of course we would like to always encourage to include partners that would do the practical activities of your project. So it might be not enough for a research institution to participate only, or practically I would say it would not be possible, because even though research institutions, universities, they are very good at creating preconditions for different things and doing the ground laying work for different things, then still you would need the partners who would do the practical level work, partners who would have the kind of mandate or authority to actually implement and take into use these solutions that the project will develop. So it is encouraged to look into all aspects of partnership, and depending on what your project aims to do, you might need different types of organizations to really fulfill the goal and also to make it sustainable, so that all activities will not end once the project end time comes, but the solutions will then live on and be even developed further. Just like my colleague Ylari has written also here, that the main criteria is relevance for achieving the results. Okay, then we will move on. I have missed this information during the presentation. Sorry, could you please repeat once again? I don't see C4. Is it not seen in the first stage of the application? Yes, this is actually correct. C4 is the work plan part, and for regular projects, this is only to be filled in the second step application. So this is why it is not visible in the application form in Jems. But you can see all the contents from the guide for applying for a project, so you will know what to expect. Do we have some more? Yes, we have at least one more question. Is there a minimum age of the organizations who can participate? Like very young organizations created for 2 to 3 months ago, for example. I don't think we have set any limits if this question refers to partner organizations. So in principle, any existing and legal organization can participate, and there is no limit. The important thing is that the partner actually has the necessary capacity to work as a partner, and of course the necessary knowledge to be a partner in that specific project. Okay, I think this completes the run through of the questions that you have made in chat. Thank you for these. And of course, we are still open for questions. If you should have any, or you can just raise a hand and ask directly. We will be happy to do our best to answer any questions. So I will give you 15 seconds to think and raise your hand or start writing. Otherwise, we will start to conclude this session. And I see that we are very good time. Okay, we have one hand raised at least, so please unmute and
Yes,
ask
hello.
your question.
Thank you very much. It was very useful, but I am a bit confused of if we are not asked now to put in the work packages description, then how to give you to understand the structure of our project. Is it any blah 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 place where we should just roughly explain what we plan?
I think there are places in the project description sections. So
Okay,
you can find a place there to describe the project structure, although this detailed work plan comes only in the second step. So, but the logic place for the logic is there.
Okay.
Maybe I can just add to some of that. The project approach is the key question or key words, and that is the one textual field, and that is really a place you have to describe your project approach, and that can be also the field or place you can actually give a short kind of description of overall management logic, how you do it, in addition to the partnership field where you can describe the roles and all that. But this is, yes, indeed, the project approach, the main activities, the sequence, the proportions. There is enough space for that. Don't go into the detailed work package structure yet, but this overall logic, what you will do for achieving results and getting really to your target group with whom you are going to work. So this is it.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I had regarding the budget. I think Samu mentioned in the beginning that the budget, rough budget per partner and total is in the summary to be mentioned. What if from first to the second stage, how big the differences can be, or if per partner we suddenly would calculate something much different from what we mentioned in the first stage summary?
Well, we have not set any limits anywhere, but I would say maybe on a project level, something like 10-15% would be the what could be expected. Of course, things may happen. You never know. If, let's say, 2 partners decide to drop out, then you will have a bigger impact. And of course, for us, we would like to know, especially if you anticipate that the budget will be bigger. So let's say you still plan to add 1 partner, you should definitely mention that in the application form, that there will be, that you are in the middle of negotiating with this partner, and in case they might join us, then the budget would increase by 200,000 or something like that.
Okay, so it is possible if the negotiations would not finish until the application should be submitted in the first stage, that we could explain that we have a X partner which still have to have the final decision.
Yes, that would be
accepted,
but we would need to know. So please write it in the application form. Ulari, you had some comments.
Yeah, I just had to add to some of that. These exceptional cases exist in real life, but still, as much as possible, try to do your calculations and end up with more or less realistic and final total amount of a project. And in regard of information about still negotiating with some partners, in assessment, we can't take into account your wishes or intentions. So we actually assessing the project based on the certain partners who are to participate, and that also leads to the certainty in regard of budget numbers you are providing in the first step. So, but yeah, there are some exceptional cases, of course, as Samu said, in real life.
Thank you for this. And then we have another question, please.
No. Yes, I just want to point out that the planning time is quite long, and now the inflation and is getting faster, and all the prices might change in a year or 18 months when we get to the actual project implementation. So there is a certain risk that if this 10%, 15% might not be enough if we especially talk about technical development and prices related there. So I see it as a bit risk that might even has to be higher when we get to the implementation, but it might be challenging then to get the funds get enough funds for so there's a risk in the implementation phase that the prices might have gone too high, but just as a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this of course is always a risk. These type of things also, of course, happen in real life, and they might have an effect. And of course, then justification for a bigger change would be needed, of course. But I don't see a reason why, with a good justification that satisfies us, even a slightly bigger changes could be acceptable. But this is very much case by case, of course, and depending on the let's say global economic situation also. But still try to plan as carefully as possible, and then of course in the second step things will be checked anyway and made more detailed. So you will then see. But thank you for the comment. Point taken. We don't have any other hands raised. Does someone still want to make a comment? Or yes, Asnate, please.
I have a final question. How many projects you think you would confirm the first stage of the regular projects, and what the competition is foreseen for the second stage, if there is possible to guess or to understand them?
Yes, thank you for the question. That would be exactly guessing so much that I would rather not start guessing, because obviously there are many things that affect project quality first and foremost. Then of course the budgets of the projects would determine how many we can potentially fund, and there are so many things. And regarding first and second step, I don't remember any percentages from the previous program. What was the share of first step applications moving on to the second step? But of course significantly smaller than the total number of applications anyway. But I would rather not start guessing about the amounts of funded projects or things like this. So we will just have to wait and see. But thank you for this. This is definitely interesting for us as well as for you. Good. I don't see anything in the chat anymore, and no more hands raised. So I think we will thank you from our side for being here. I think we have quite constantly had more than 100 participants in this event, which is good, and I hope this has been useful for you. And of course, this was the first part. Second part will follow on Thursday afternoon, and then we will be talking about the budget in a bit more detailed way. And of course, then if you should not be interested in the budget part yet, that will be in the first part of the program on Thursday. Might be that some regular projects are not interested in those details yet, so you can in principle skip that part, or then just multitask during that part of the seminar. But anyway, those things will be handled by our colleagues on Thursday, and you are most welcome to join us then. And please also, if you still come up with any questions, even if they are regarding today's topics, you can still ask them on Thursday and bring up basically anything regarding Jems and applying, and we will try to help and answer. But for this meeting, I would thank you and welcome you back on Thursday, and see you again. Have a good day, and as I said, see you again on Thursday, hopefully. Goodbye.